There, emerging from between the baby's shoulder blades, was a face, not a growth, not a deformity, a face. It was the size of a child's fist, perfectly formed with delicate features. That night, as Zara finally drifted off to sleep, the face whispered one more thing. "Dig now, or they'll start dying tomorrow." After the water healing, everything changed for Zara. Word of her miracle spread beyond Umugo village. People came from neighboring towns to see the spirit girl who could heal the sick and speak with the unseen world. They brought their ailments, their fears, their desperate hopes. The face on her back had become more active since the first healing. It whispered to her regularly now, telling her things about people before they even spoke, revealing hidden sicknesses, predicting events that hadn't happened yet. "The woman coming up the path," the voice whispered one afternoon, "her baby will come early, tonight, before the moon rises." Sure enough, Mama Adeyeze arrived at their hut that evening, her face tight with worry. "Something's wrong," she said, holding her swollen belly. "The baby is moving too much." Zara had already prepared the herbs the voice had told her to gather. "Your baby wants to come tonight," she said gently, "but don't worry, I'll help you." Mama Adeyeze went into labor 3 hours later. With Zara's herbs and guidance, she delivered a healthy baby boy just as the moon disappeared behind the clouds. "How did you know?" Mama Adeyeze asked, cradling her son. "She never spoke back," Zara replied softly. Her back spoke for her. The next week, it was Chief Okafor's infected leg wound that wouldn't heal with normal medicine. "Honey mixed with palm oil and bitter leaf," the voice whispered. "The infection is deeper than they think." Zara prepared the mixture and sent it to the chief. Within days, his wound had healed completely. People began to come to her hut regularly, seeking advice, healing, guidance. They brought gifts, yams, palm oil, cloth, even small amounts of money. "She is blessed," they said, "the spirits speak through her." But with fame came scrutiny, and with scrutiny came jealousy. Chizom had been the most beautiful girl in Umugo village before Zara's transformation. She had expected to marry well, to be admired, to be the center of attention. Now everyone talked about the healer with the mysterious gift. "It's not natural," Chizom said to her friends as they sat by the stream. They watched people walk toward Zara's hut with their problems. "No one should have that kind of power." "Maybe she's really blessed," one friend suggested. "Blessed?" Chizom laughed bitterly. "She's carrying a demon on her back. I've seen it. We all have. That thing is not from God." But what really angered Chizom was Obiora's continued attention to Zara. The gold trader had become more open about his feelings, visiting Zara's hut regularly, bringing expensive gifts, speaking to her with the kind of respect he had once reserved for Chizom. "She's bewitched him," Chizom told anyone who would listen. "That thing on her back has put a spell on him." One evening, as Zara was preparing herbs for a sick child, Obiora came to her hut with a small wrapped package. "I brought you something," he said, holding out the gift. Inside was a beautiful gold necklace, delicate and shining. "I don't understand," Zara said, looking up at him. "Why are you being kind to me? Everyone knows what I am." Obiora sat down beside her, his eyes gentle. "I know what you are, Zara. You're a healer, a gift to this village, a blessing. But the thing on my back is part of what makes you extraordinary," he interrupted. "I've watched you help people, save lives, bring hope to families. Whatever you carry, it's not a curse. It's a calling." Zara's eyes filled with tears. "But what will people say? What will they think of you for wanting someone like me? They'll think I'm the luckiest man alive." That night, Obiora formally asked Dinma for Zara's hand in marriage. Dinma wept with joy. Her daughter, the abandoned baby she had found in the forest, was going to marry the most respected man in the village. But not everyone was happy about the engagement. Chizom's jealousy reached a breaking point. She began spreading new rumors, darker ones. "She's using that demon to control men's minds," she whispered to the market women. "Look how she's bewitched Obiora, a rich, handsome man like that, wanting a girl with a monster on her back." "Maybe she has powerful medicine," someone suggested. "Medicine or witchcraft," Chizom replied. "Either way, it's not natural, and it's not safe." She began to plant seeds of doubt in people's minds. After each healing, she would whisper questions. How does she know these things? What if she's causing the sickness first, then pretending to cure it? That thing on her back. What if it's not helping her? What if it's controlling her? Maybe we shouldn't trust someone who carries a demon. The whispers grew louder. People still came to Zara for healing, but now they came with suspicion mixed with hope. They wanted her help, but they feared what she might want in return. One afternoon, as Zara was grinding herbs outside her hut, she heard a group of women talking as they passed by. "I heard she demands payment now," one said, "gold and silver for her healing. And did you see how she looked at Chief Okafor? Some say she threatened to make his wound worse if he didn't give her his best goat. My sister says the thing on her back whispers evil things, that it tells her people's secrets." Zara's hand stilled on the grinding stone. None of it was true. She had never demanded payment, never threatened anyone, never used her gift for harm. But she understood now that fear was more powerful than truth. That evening, as she and Dinma prepared dinner, the face on her back whispered something that made her blood run cold. "Trouble is coming. They will try to drive you away. But you must stay. Someone needs you more than the others." "Who?" Zara whispered back. "The woman who left you to die. She's coming home." Zara's heart stopped. After 17 years, she was finally going to face the mother who had abandoned her. But first, she had to survive what Chizom was planning. The next morning, Chizom arrived at the village square with a group of supporters, women who had grown jealous of Zara's influence, men who feared her power, young people who resented her success. She had spent days organizing this moment, convincing people that Zara was dangerous, that the face on her back was spreading evil through the village. She stood in the center, her voice carrying across the marketplace. "People of Umugo," she called out, "how long will we let this thing, live among us?" A crowd began to gather, curious about the commotion. Chizom had planned this perfectly. Market day, when everyone would be here. "She says she heals," Chizom continued, "but what if she's the one making people sick first? What if that demon on her back is spreading disease, then pretending to cure it?" Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some people nodded, others looked uncertain. "She's bewitched Obiora," Chizom declared, her voice rising. "A man like that would never choose a girl with a monster on her back unless he was under a spell." "That's not true." Obiora's voice cut through the crowd as he pushed forward. "I choose Zara because she's good, because she's helped all of you, because she has a gift you're too afraid to understand." "A gift?" Chizom laughed harshly, her voice echoing off the huts. "Look at her. She carries a living demon on her back. It breathes, it watches, it whispers. That's not a gift. That's a curse sent to destroy us all." The crowd was growing larger now, people streaming in from their morning tasks. Zara could see the fear in their eyes, but also something else. Curiosity. They wanted to see what would happen. "Where is she?" someone shouted. "Let her defend herself." "She's hiding," Chizom replied, pointing dramatically toward Zara's hut. "Like she's always hiding, because she knows what she is." But Zara wasn't hiding. She had been standing at the edge of the crowd, listening, preparing herself for this moment. The face on her back was more active than it had ever been, its breathing rapid and excited. "I'm here," she said quietly, but her voice carried across the suddenly silent square. The crowd parted like water as she walked forward. For the first time in years, she wasn't trying to hide. Her wrapper was thin. The outline of the face on her back was clearly visible to everyone. Chizom's eyes gleamed with triumph. "You want to see what I am?" Zara asked, her voice growing stronger with each word. "You want to know the truth?" She stopped directly in front of Chizom, close enough that everyone could see both their faces clearly. Slowly, deliberately, she began to unwrap her back. The crowd gasped as the face was revealed, larger now, more defined, its eyes alert and intelligent. It looked directly at Chizom, its tiny mouth curved into what might have been a smile. "This is what I am," Zara said simply, her voice carrying to every corner of the square. "I was born with this face, and I was abandoned because of it. But it's not a demon. It's not a curse. It's a gift I never asked for, but I've learned to use it to help people." "It's looking at us," someone whispered in terror. "It's alive," another said, backing away. "Yes," Zara replied, turning slowly so everyone could see. "It's alive, and it's been guiding me to help all of you, the water that saved your children, the herbs that healed your wounds, the warnings that prevented disasters. All of it came from this face you're so afraid of." The face on her back opened its mouth. For the first time in public, it spoke. "They fear what they don't understand, but fear is not stronger than love." The crowd fell completely silent. They had heard the demon speak. Its voice was not filled with evil, it was filled with sadness. Chizom, desperate not to lose control of the crowd, stepped closer. "She was once a curse," she said, her voice shaking but still defiant. "Now they kneel at her feet like she's some kind of goddess." "No one kneels at my feet," Zara replied calmly. "I kneel at yours. I serve you. I help you. Not because I have to, but because I choose to." She looked around at the faces in the crowd, people she had helped, people who had feared her, people who were still trying to decide what to believe. "I can't change what I am," she said, "but I can choose what I do with it. And I choose to help." Then the face on her back spoke again, its voice clear and gentle, but loud enough for everyone to hear. "Chizom, daughter of Nkem, you carry pain in your heart. Your mother never loved you the way she loved your sister. You seek attention because you've never felt worthy of love." Chizom's face went pale as paper. How do you know that?" "Because I see all hearts," the face replied, "and yours is not evil, it's just broken." The crowd watched in stunned silence as tears began to flow down Chizom's face. She had built her whole identity around being the beautiful one, the chosen one. But deep inside, she had always felt like second best. The face on Zara's back continued, its voice gentle but penetrating. "You are worthy of love, you are worthy of respect, but you won't find it by tearing others down. You'll find it by building others up." Chizom fell to her knees in front of the entire village, sobbing. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. I was so jealous, so angry." Zara knelt beside her and took her hands. "I forgive you," she said, "and I want to help you too." One by one, the villagers began to kneel, not in worship, but in respect and shame. They had seen something beyond their understanding. They were humbled by it. Chief Okafor stepped forward from the crowd. "We were wrong," he said, his voice carrying across the square. "We feared the thing that came to save us." Chizom looked up at Zara through her tears. "I was wrong about you," she said. "I was wrong about everything." "We all make mistakes," Zara replied, helping her to her feet, "but we can choose to do better." The crowd began to disperse, people walking away in quiet contemplation, but they were different now, not afraid, but awed. They had seen the power of forgiveness, the strength of love, the possibility of redemption. "She was once a curse," Zara said softly, watching the villagers go back to their lives. "Now they kneel at her feet." The dry season came early that year. It brought with it a desperation that settled over the land like dust. Crops withered in the fields. Wells ran dry. People traveled farther and farther to find water, food, hope, and among those desperate travelers was a woman who had been running from her past for 17 years. Amara had aged badly. Her hair was prematurely grey. Her face was lined with sorrow that went deeper than poverty. She walked with the shuffle of someone who had given up on life. She carried only a small bundle of possessions and a weight of guilt that had grown heavier with each passing year. She had never had another child after abandoning Zara. Every pregnancy had ended in miscarriage. Every hope had turned to ash. The village elders said she was cursed. The healers said her womb was closed. But Amara knew the truth. She was being punished for what she had done. Now, sick and dying, she had heard whispers of a healer in Umugo village, a young woman with a mysterious gift who could cure any ailment, who could speak to the spirit world. She has something growing from her back, the travelers said, something that whispers secrets. Amara's blood had turned to ice when she heard those words, something growing from her back. It couldn't be. It wasn't possible. But as she made the long journey to Umugo, she couldn't shake the feeling that her past was finally catching up with her. She arrived at sunset, her legs shaking with exhaustion and fever. The village was buzzing with activity, people coming and going from a small hut near the hills, carrying herbs and water, their faces filled with hope. "Please," she said to an old woman passing by, "I need to see the healer. I'm very sick." The woman looked at her with compassion. "Go to that hut there. But be patient. Many people need her help." Amara joined the line of people waiting outside Zara's hut. As she waited, she listened to the conversations around her. "She saved my son's life." The thing on her back told her exactly what herbs to use. "My daughter was dying, and she healed her with just a touch." The face speaks to her. It knows things. With each word, Amara's heart beat faster. A face that knew things. A face that whispered. When her turn finally came, she approached the hut on trembling legs. Dinma met her at the door, her face kind but tired. "Come in, sister," Dinma said. "My daughter will help you." Amara entered the hut and saw her for the first time in 17 years. Zara was beautiful, with gentle eyes and graceful movements. She was grinding herbs by lamplight. Her back turned to the door. There was something familiar about her profile, something that made Amara's chest tighten. "Please, sit," Zara said without turning around. "Tell me what troubles you." Amara sat heavily on the mat, her eyes never leaving Zara's back. Even through the thick wrapper, she could see the outline of something there, something that made her hands shake. "I'm dying," she whispered. "My body is failing. The healers in my village say there's nothing they can do." Zara finally turned around. For a moment, their eyes met. Amara saw intelligence there, kindness, strength, but also something else, a flicker of recognition. "Let me see," Zara said, reaching out to feel Amara's forehead. As her hand touched her skin, Amara felt a warmth she hadn't experienced in years. But more than that, she felt something else, a presence, watching her, knowing her. "You have a fever," Zara said, but her voice was strange, distant. "But that's not what's killing you." "What do you mean?" Zara was quiet for a long moment, her eyes closed as if listening to something only she could hear. Then she opened them and looked directly at Amara. "You're dying of guilt," she said simply. "You're carrying a burden that's eating you alive." Amara's breath caught. "How do you know that?" "Because I know you," Zara replied. Slowly, deliberately, she began to unwrap her back. The face was revealed gradually. First the top of the head, then the forehead, then the eyes. Large, dark, intelligent eyes that looked directly at Amara with an expression of infinite sadness. Amara's scream died in her throat. She knew those eyes. She had seen them once before, on a moonless night 17 years ago. "You," she whispered, her voice barely audible, "I'm Zara," the young woman said calmly, "and you're the woman who left me to die." The face on Zara's back opened its mouth and spoke, its voice clear and unmistakable. "Hello, Mama." Amara collapsed to her knees, sobbing. "Forgive me," she cried. "Please forgive me. I was afraid. I was young. I didn't know what to do." "You knew exactly what to do," Zara interrupted, but her voice wasn't angry. It was sad. "You chose to save yourself and abandon your child." "I've regretted it every day since," Amara wept. "Every single day. I've prayed for forgiveness. I've fasted. I've suffered." "And you've learned," the face on Zara's back said, its voice gentle. "You've learned that shame is a prison we build for ourselves. That guilt can kill as surely as any disease. That some wounds never heal because we won't let them." Amara looked up through her tears. "I came here hoping you could heal me, but I didn't know. I didn't know you were—" "I know," Zara said, "and I forgive you." The words hung in the air like a benediction. Amara felt something break inside her chest. Not break apart, but break open. The weight she had carried for 17 years suddenly lifted. "Why?" she whispered. "After what I did, why would you forgive me?" "Because I understand now," Zara replied. "I understand fear. I understand shame. I understand what it feels like to want to run away from something you can't control." She began to prepare a mixture of herbs and clean water, her movements calm and purposeful. The face on her back watched Amara with eyes that held no judgment, only compassion. "This will help your body heal," Zara said, offering her the gourd. "But the real healing has already begun." As Amara drank, color returned to her cheeks. Her breathing became easier. But more than that, she felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Peace. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for saving me, even after what I did." "Everyone deserves a second chance," Zara replied, "even those who don't think they do." The face on her back smiled, actually smiled, and said, "Especially those who don't think they do." That night, as Amara slept peacefully in their hut for the first time in 17 years, the face on Zara's back spoke to her one final time. "You have completed what I was born to do. You have brought healing, forgiveness, and hope to the one who needed it most. My journey is finished." "What do you mean?" Zara whispered. "Tomorrow I will rest, and you will be free to live your life without carrying me." Zara felt tears on her cheeks. "But you're part of me. You've always been part of me." "I will always be part of you," the face replied, "but not in the way you think. You don't need me anymore, Zara. You never did. The healing, the wisdom, the love, it was always yours. I was just helping you find it." "She left me in the forest," Zara whispered to the sleeping Amara, "but I still saved her." Zara woke the next morning to something she had never experienced in her 17 years of life. Silence, the constant sensation of carrying another being. The subtle weight between her shoulder blades, the rhythmic breathing that had accompanied her every moment since birth. It was gone. She lay still for a moment, afraid to move, afraid to check. Then, slowly, she reached her hand back to touch the spot where the face had always been. Her fingers met smooth skin. "Mama," she called out, her voice trembling. Dinma hurried over. Zara's expression told her everything. "It's gone," Zara whispered. "The face is gone." Dinma helped her sit up and examined her back. Where the face had been, there was now only a small birthmark, shaped like a closed eye, barely visible unless you knew to look for it. "How do you feel?" Dinma asked gently. Zara was quiet for a moment, taking inventory of her body, her emotions, her thoughts. "Empty," she said finally, "like I've lost a part of myself." "But also free," Dinma suggested. "Yes," Zara admitted, "also free." In the corner of the hut, Amara stirred and sat up, her color healthy for the first time in years. "What's wrong?" she asked, seeing the emotion on their faces. "It's gone," Zara told her. "The face on my back. It disappeared during the night." Amara's eyes widened. Is that because of me? Because you forgave me?" "I think so," Zara replied. "I think it was waiting for this moment. For you to come home. For me to learn what forgiveness really means." That day, word spread through the village like wildfire. The healer's burden had vanished. The demon was gone. People came to see for themselves, to understand what it meant. Some were relieved, others were worried. If the face was gone, did that mean Zara's healing powers were gone too? "Test her," someone suggested. "Bring a sick child, see if she can still heal." But Zara knew without testing that something fundamental had changed. She could no longer hear the whispers, no longer sense people's hidden ailments, no longer predict what was coming. "The gift is gone," she told Dinma quietly. "Maybe," Dinma replied, "or maybe it's just different now." That evening, Obiora came to the hut with a question that would change everything. "Will you still marry me?" he asked. "Now that you're different?" Zara looked at him in surprise. "You wanted to marry me when I carried a face on my back, and now you're asking if I'll still marry you when I don't?" "I fell in love with all of you," Obiora said simply. "The healer, the burden bearer, the woman who forgave her mother. I want to marry all of you. But what if I can't heal people anymore? What if I'm just ordinary?" "Then I'll love you ordinary," he replied. "I'll love you any way you are." The wedding was planned for the next full moon. As the day approached, Zara found herself both excited and terrified. She had spent her entire life being extraordinary, being different, being the girl with the face on her back. Who was she without it? The answer came on her wedding day. She dressed in a flowing white gown that Dinma had spent weeks sewing. For the first time in her life, the dress was cut to show her back. Smooth, unmarked except for the tiny birthmark that looked like a sleeping eye. As she walked down the aisle toward Obiora, she felt the eyes of the entire village on her. These were people who had feared her, mocked her, needed her, been healed by her. Now they were seeing her as she had never been seen before, just a woman, just a bride, just Zara. But as she passed through the crowd, something unexpected happened. People began to smile. Not the nervous, fearful smiles she was used to, but genuine warmth. "She's beautiful," someone whispered. "Look how happy she is. She saved my daughter's life. She forgave her own mother. She's blessed." When she reached Obiora, he took her hands and whispered, "You're radiant." "I'm ordinary," she whispered back. "You're extraordinary," he corrected. "You always were. The face didn't make you special, Zara. You made the face special." As they exchanged vows, Zara felt something she had never experienced before. Complete acceptance, not just from Obiora, but from herself. She was no longer the girl who had to hide. She was no longer the healer with the mysterious gift. She was just Zara. And for the first time in her life, that was enough. After the ceremony, as the villagers celebrated, Zara found herself surrounded by children. Some she had healed, others who had once been afraid of her. "Tell us a story, Auntie Zara," one little girl asked. Zara smiled and knelt down to their level. "Once upon a time," she began, "there was a little girl who was born carrying a great burden. Everyone thought it was a curse, but it turned out to be the greatest blessing of all." "What was the burden?" the children asked, their eyes wide with wonder. "The burden of being different," Zara replied. "The burden of carrying something that others couldn't understand. The burden of healing when others wanted to hurt. Of forgiving when others wanted to hate. Of loving when others wanted to fear." "And what happened to the burden?" another child asked. "It taught her everything she needed to know," Zara said. "And then, when its job was done, it went to sleep. But the lessons it taught her, about love, about forgiveness, about using our differences to help others, those lessons stayed with her forever." "Did she live happily ever after?" a boy asked. Zara looked across the celebration to where Obiora was talking with Dinma and Amara, 3 people who had loved her in different ways, who had helped her become who she was meant to be. "She lived meaningfully ever after," she said, "which is even better than happily." As the sun set over Umugo village, Zara touched the small birthmark on her back, all that remained of the face that had shaped her life. She couldn't hear its whispers anymore, couldn't feel its presence, couldn't see through its eyes, but she could still feel its love. And in the end, that was the only gift she had ever really needed. "Some gifts don't look like blessings at first," she told the children as they settled down to sleep. "But they carry within them the power to transform not just the one who bears them, but everyone whose life they touch. Sometimes your burden is your blessing in disguise," she added softly, touching her birthmark one last time. What they feared, she whispered to herself, was always the blessing they needed. Years later, when Zara and Obiora had children of their own, the villagers still told the story of the girl who was born with a face on her back. They told it to children who felt different, to adults who carried burdens, to anyone who had ever been rejected or abandoned. They told it because it reminded them that sometimes the things that make us different are the very things that make us extraordinary. And they told it because they knew that love, real, unconditional love, can transform even the darkest burden into the brightest blessing. In the village of Umugo, where the baobab tree still stands and the spring still flows with healing water, they remember the girl who taught them that curses and blessings are often the same thing, seen from different angles. They remember because some stories are too important to forget. And they remember because, in the end, we are all carrying something on our backs, something that makes us different, something that scares others, something that we think is a curse. But maybe, just maybe, it's the very thing that will save us all. The end. What would you have done if you found a baby like Zara? Would you have kept her, or would fear have won? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more powerful stories that will change the way you see the world.